So instead of lions and tigers and bears,
Oh my.
yeah, it's been ant invasion, cats on the loose, and one psychotic dog.
Yeah, at least for that night it was. I'm Dana.
I'm Tony.
And this is Responding Together.
All right. So explain that intro. What in the world?
So you were on shift working, and we have a dog that has like really high anxiety. Um, and to where the point that she has to have like a daily medication just to chill her out. Um, and the medication didn't get put back into its correct location. So we pretty much spent like 30 minutes tearing the house apart trying to find the medication. I still have no idea where the bottle is. Um, so I've had to reorder the meds. Yay. I mean, I think they got thrown away. That's the last resort that I could think of is what happened.
They're nowhere to be found.
They're nowhere to be found. I have no
Yeah.
idea. We've torn this place up and looked in all the usual places. It'll probably pop up eventually. But I had asked the eldest daughter to take the dog out because we were all getting ready to go to bed and just crash for the night because you were gone. And I'm one of those, if I can put the kids to bed, I'm going to go crash and just chill out and have some downtime before I crash. So that was the plan. She steps 1 foot out the door with the dog and realizes all 4 of the cats are outside of the catio. And I'm like, and she's like, the cats are out. And I'm like, oh my gosh, the sun is setting. It's still a little bit light outside.
They didn't go anywhere. It wasn't raining.
No, it wasn't raining. It wasn't dark. They didn't go very far. And we had the cat treats. So we throw the dog back into her kennel and she's going hysterical. The eldest and the middle daughters run outside to go and track down the cats, hand the treats off. I run outside. I looked at the catio. The door was open. So that's good news. It's not something on the catio that needs to be like, we need to screw in some of
that was my
wiring.
biggest concern.
Yeah, the wiring or something that needs to, for reference, we have 4 cats. They live outside in a catio because we live on a busy street. And I don't want to have cats that get run over and squished and then have sad kids that we had a cat for a little bit and then it got squished by a car. So Anthony built this beautiful catio, which now I'm going to be like, we need a bigger one because this is a problem. You can't crawl in with the cats in this catio. You can't just like walk into it with them. So we're gonna eventually build a bigger one. But anyways, so we get the oldest daughter gets 1 cat lured with the catnip treat, whatever, the lick sticks. And we find her cat, which she's like freaking out because she has her own cat that lives in the catio. So we get we get Parison, we get Lorelei. Our cats are named after the Gilmore Girls, except for the male cat. And
Mr.
we
Mister.
get Mr. So our third daughter is looking for Mr. and Rory. Rory's the one she's grown up roaming around outside. I don't like her being out at night. Like she'll roam around during the day, which is crazy, which is when the traffic is most crazy. But usually it's at night when the cats tend to get hit anyways. So
because they have the zoomies.
Yeah, and they had the zoomies. So Mr. was hiding under your car. And so he just came right over to our third child and started rubbing himself up against her leg, and she was able to grab him and put him back in the catio. And then Rory was scratching at the wood by the tree out front, and I have the lick stick in my hand. She runs around. Not Ari. One of our other girls was like, just leave her outside. She'll be fine. I'm like, I know, but let me try. Famous last words usually. Well, she decided because she is half domesticated, half wild woman. She decided she's anti uh litter box. She'll use it against her will, but she's anti. There's a litter box in the catio. So she decided she dug herself a hole and started squatting to go potty. So that's when I like grabbed her neck and let her finish her business. And I mean, I sat there for probably a couple minutes while she finished her business, and had her. She like kind of turned her body around like she was gonna bury it all, and I'm like. Grab the lick stick and she starts licking it and then hand her off to the oldest daughter and we put her back in the catio. So what had happened is I went outside to check on the cats and saw that there were ants all over the place. And he had just sprayed a few days
Mm-hmm.
ago for ants. Like we took the cats out, put them in another location. He sprayed the entire catio down with like bug stuff to keep the bugs away, like keep them away enough to where it sprayed around the perimeter of it. I don't know what it is about this year, but the ant invasion is
They are
insane.
horrible. They're
They're
absolutely
awful.
horrible.
They're all over the place. So you walk out there and it's just covered with ants when
Yep.
you're
And it's
stepping
it's
out
not
there.
like it's not like the big black ones or even red. They're the
It's
little
the teeny
picnic
tiny
ants.
little, yeah, and they're
So
big.
everywhere.
Yeah. So I decided to start trying to spray. I'm spraying stuff down to because they found their way to the cat bowls again. So I'm spraying stuff down, and I had opened up the door to grab the cat bowls out because we have like this design to you don't have to open up the catio to feed them. You just pour it in and it like goes into the cat bowl that's in there. And they accidentally got fed twice that day prior to getting dinner because I didn't, the girls didn't talk to each other. So I'm rushing off to work. The oldest two are rushing off to work. The middle daughter's home. I'm rushing the other little two off to camp. And I had no idea who got fed. All I remember telling the oldest two is take the dogs out before you leave. And
Mm-hmm.
um because they have to be at work surprisingly before I have to be at work. So I tell the middle child who's staying home that day to make sure the cats got fed. And then when the oldest got phone service where she was at, she was like, I already fed them. So they got fed twice. So when they got fed dinner, they didn't want to eat, hence the ants all over the place. And I know this is really a longer story than it really needs to be. But at this point, so I sprayed down the ants and I thought I'd got the bowls out and I thought I had locked the door back, but I didn't. And you can see it. We have ring cameras. We have a camera that's on the cats, and you can see that the door's open, and some of the cats are inside. And I guess two of them, probably Rory, figured
That's
out. And
probably Rory, Mister. Yep.
yeah, because they'll scale up the door with climb up the wiring and scale up the door. But all that to say, this was all while he was working, and I'm handling it, doing my solo thing. It's not always peace and quiet when he's off doing his first responder thing. It can get a little chaotic, and it got chaotic that night.
And that chaos, translates to different stress. So
Yeah.
when I'm away, um, and things like that happen, for one, I don't always find out about those things as they're happening in real time, which I
No.
appreciate from her
Well,
because
yeah.
that can cause when I'm trying to focus on my job, or when I need to focus on my job, when you're introducing home life stress, it can detract from your focus
Yeah.
at work. Um, and that's a big deal for us, while on the job. We need to be able to focus
Mhm.
on what we're doing. Not that home life is not important. It is,
No, it
absolutely.
is.
But
Yeah.
but you've got to have those times where it's like, okay, I just I gotta pony up and I gotta take care of business at home while he or she is at work, so they can focus on what they're there to do. Now, and we'll talk about the things that are stressful at home that do need to
Mhm.
be, you know, hey, we need to talk about this.
Mhm.
Um, but beyond that, it can be a challenging dynamic when you're trying to figure things out and
Yeah.
get things, you know, uh,
I'm the
herding
adult in the
herd,
room.
herding cats is the
Yes.
the phrase.
Literally.
Yeah,
That night.
literally herding cats and averting ants
Yeah.
and all the while dealing with a psychotic dog that you can't find the medication for.
No.
So it's it's an interesting dynamic because unlike other careers where you just pick up the phone and you call your spouse, say, "Hey, this is what's going on. What do I do?"
Yeah.
You don't have that luxury
No,
in many cases.
especially if
We
you're
don't
on
have
a
that luxury.
no, and especially if you're on a trip where it's taking you out of the country because time zone differences. The biggest time zone jump that we've had is a 14-hour time zone difference.
Hmm.
It's kind of
15.
hard. 15, yeah. It's kind of hard to have like any type of like good conversation because by the time he's waking up, I'm going to bed and or I'm already asleep or that was the time where we had like I had to essentially leave like a list of messages on text messages to you saying, hey, here's the rundown of what went on and these are things we need to talk about so I remember and don't forget, and you saw them and you would leave text messages back. I mean, I feel like we that one was a hard time jump, that one, where you were
Hmm.
having to work in a 15
It was.
hour time zone difference, so
Yeah, because we had that was when I was in Guam, and
mhm,
we had a short window. It was my
very short
morning,
window.
it was your evening,
Yeah.
and I was already in the next day,
Yep.
so that was challenging, and that was for over a month.
Yeah.
That was even more challenging.
Yeah.
But all that to say, as being in this career field, um, that is something that needs to be talked about between
Mhm.
you and your spouse. It's
Yeah.
like, okay, how do we manage, A, B, and C when you're not home? Because had it been the chicken wire issue, I know
I would have
you would have
figured it
fixed it,
out.
you would have
I would
figured
have
it
fixed
out.
it.
But it's those things where it's like, man, I wish I was home to do,
Yeah.
you know,
Well, and
X, Y, and Z.
a lot of it takes pre-planning too. Like we've had
Hmm.
to talk through different situations as far as, okay, um, something happens here at the house. We had one time you had just left, just like I think you had touched down that night, and I'm like texting you saying, don't mind the ring cameras. It's just the chicken coop on fire, not the house.
Yep.
And you had just left. And so fortunately my parents were still in town. They travel some. So I was like texting my dad because we had chickens in the chicken coop and the chicken coop on fire. Some passerby, because we live on a busy street, like they started knocking on my back door and
Yep.
was like, your chicken coop's on fire. And what had happened is he had moved another heat lamp because it was winter at that point.
Yep.
He had moved another heat lamp into the coops to keep the chickens warm. And we had one hanging to where they couldn't touch it or really get to it or knock it down or anything. And this one was just clipped, and they knocked this one and it sat long enough to catch the coop on fire, the inside coop on fire.
Hmm. It started to smolder.
So yeah, it started to smolder. So I'm on the phone with 911 saying, hey, my chicken coop's on fire. And we live literally a stone's throw from the fire department. And he used to work for said fire department too. So this was kind of comical. So
Yeah, because
the
the guys
fire,
show up.
they show up. I mean, there's like, and then his former boss from when he worked construction was passing by. He's like, are you okay? And I'm like, just another, day in the life of a solo parent right now. And I'm gonna say this. I'm gonna do this as a little side note. I'm gonna probably get on my high horse about this one. I am a solo parent. I am not a single parent. He is not like not available. I mean, he's available, but I'm solo parenting. He is still parenting from a distance.
Hmm.
As much as he can. He reaches out to the kids, he has conversations. Our youngest has figured out how to email him
Oh, it's so funny.
from her
Speaking,
Chromebook.
yeah,
So she'll send him emails and send him
she's
messages.
hilarious.
She is hilarious. She started figure she asked me to put my email address into her contacts on her little school email, and so she could send stuff back and forth.
Yeah, it's her
Um,
version of texting us.
yeah, because she doesn't have anything. She doesn't have a device to text us on. Um, we have Echo Dots that he can leave a message for our
Yep.
son on and back and forth. And then the girls all have their phones, so he can, we do Marco Polos, we do group chats.
We
I
we max
try.
we maximize the communication through
We do,
various
which is
avenues.
very like, growing up as a military kid, when my dad was gone on trips, like, we didn't have all these technologies to where I
Hmm.
mean, we it was when he called on the phone when he got to his hotel room, or, when he was on a Navy ship, it was, it was every so often that he wasn't able to call every night. We weren't able to talk every night. Um, I honestly don't remember having a phone conversation with my dad when he called, because I think he was in the Mediterranean, so I think he called in the middle of the night, our because it was daytime there for him. So, I think mom got that, but I don't remember talking to him on the phone for when he was deployed. Um, but we have these amazing communication tools, video chat, text messaging, being able to track an airplane that's flying from, Atlanta International to, whatever country you're touching down in, to being able to track and see where the plane is when the plane doesn't have Wi-Fi. And spoiler
Yeah,
alert, some of those planes, commercial airlines, that Wi-Fi breaks, and we don't, I mean, we're spoiled rotten, to be
yeah.
honest with you.
It,
We never used to be able to communicate while in air with someone. It was unheard of. Like,
we have
it just,
a lot of conveniences and luxuries when it comes to communication, and which makes this job, um, it makes it a little bit easier from that standpoint,
right.
because
And
we are afforded those luxuries, and I call them luxuries because the or niceties, because they are nice to have.
mhm.
But as we've found out recently, where um, when I do when I don't have Wi-Fi on one of my international flights, um, it
Or
is what it is.
you're on a trip that you can't have your phone. I mean, you're on a trip, like, the aircraft that
Yeah,
you fly on, there's only a handful of them
that have internet.
that have internet on them, and you're 9
Yep.
times out of 10, you're on a plane that doesn't have
Yeah,
internet.
most of my domestic trips, we don't
Yeah.
have Wi-Fi, so it's
No.
just I text before right before we take off, and um,
Text when you land.
we use Signal, so it's great because I can write a text message.
Send it,
As soon
and
as
then it
as soon as I turn my airplane
yeah.
mode back on after we land, it automatically sends it, so it's
Yeah.
nice. But it's those little things that it helps her, with just the okay, he's okay, so she can offload
Yeah,
that
and
out of the stress of her day, and that's part of this where, optimizing communication, using the avenues that we have, because when the ants and the loose cats and the psycho dog situations
mhm.
happen, it's those little bits of communication that really do help.
Yeah.
And that's what we're getting to here with the whole goal of this particular episode is you're gonna have those times, while you're on shift, while you're deployed, whatever your situation is for your, aspect of the career field, you're gonna have those moments to where it's nuts at home,
Mhm.
and for those of you that are at home, the spouse, the family that's at home, one of the best ways that you can support your first responder is by, um, handling things at home,
Yeah.
and
And I
and
didn't
not
always do
always,
that.
not always giving a real time play by play of this is what's going on, because that can upset the focus and the dynamic for your spouse who is, at work.
Yeah. I mean, and I didn't always do that early on in the career, because I mean, when we started down this road and in this career field, I mean, you were doing shorter shifts as far as like 12 hours, 24 hours, 24/48. Sometimes you
Yeah,
would pull a 48-hour shift,
shorter than
or
a couple weeks to a month.
yeah, 36-hour shift or whatever. And now we're doing stretches where you're gone for, weeks to a month at a time,
Hmm.
depending on what's going on. And when you first started in this, I remember calling you when I'm like, oh my gosh, the girls are driving me crazy. Or, there was some drama going on in the family, or something just crazy going on. And, you would get super frustrated that I, couldn't handle the parenting side of things. Um, because I was parenting, we had our oldest three, our each 2 years apart. We had kids back to back to back. So, um, and it was hard when they were little to just
Hmm.
be, you know, and handle them. They were rambunctious girls.
They still are.
Um, they still are. I mean, they kinda do their own thing now, but,
It's different when you have the age group of, let's
yeah.
say under 6 or under 8,
Yes, because
because you're
now
having they're not self-sufficient.
no, they're not. I had to handle everything, and there were times
Yeah.
and I was at while you were starting your career, I was in grad school online, so I was, juggling being mom full-time while trying to do grad school so I could get my teaching license to
Hmm.
teach because I was like, "I wanna be on the same schedule as the kids. This is a great way to do that." So, it was hard to, be parent and figure out how to solo parent, and for the longest time, I did call it single parenting. It is n I'm solo parenting, but I'm not single parenting, and I know that it's like, "Well, what's the difference?" Well, I still have my partner to help me out. I can still reach out to him,
Hmm.
and he can tell me, "Hey,
Yep.
let's talk about this at this time." I mean, I think we've gotten into a pretty good rhythm now where it's like, okay, we may not be able to have a full-on conversation about what's going on here and here and here, but let's have a conversation when we both have a free moment to be able to have that conversation and we can set some time aside. I mean, we've also done a lot of pre-planning of running through different types of scenarios of, okay, what do I do, if we have teenage drivers? What do I do if one of the girls gets into a car accident while you're gone? What do I do if
Yep.
something happens with one of my parents while you're gone?
It's
What do I
those
do
it's
if something
the
happens to
nightmare
your mom while I'm
scenarios.
gone? Like, and I know it's like worst case scenarios type things, but we have to have a plan in place for if you're not here and I'm the only one available to, to do what I need to do to get to where I need to go and everything. Like we have to have a plan. It's important to have a plan. And I mean, I know we've not thought of every single possibility that's out there that could go wrong. What happens if the house catches on fire while you're gone? What am I doing? What do I do? Like, besides calling 911 obviously and getting everybody out of the house, but you know, just kind of you have to plan for those what if crazy situations that might go down, but you also have to plan for the, I have a teenage daughter that has a bad attitude today, so help talk me off the ledge on this one because I'm having a hard time keeping my attitude in check as the adult in the room when she's, flying off the handle. So when I have him in person to be my check when her and I are going at it, um, and vice versa, like now I don't have you in the room with me to be my, checks and balances. Like I have to have a plan in place for, okay, what do I need to do if my teenage daughter is going off and I need a moment?
And these are all relationship dynamics that, um, that when you first get married and start a family, these typically are not established.
No.
And there's a lot of couples that rely heavily on each other.
Mhm.
And when one is not there, the other is freaking out.
Yeah.
And we've been there. We've
We
had some
have.
of those
Yeah,
moments
we have
to
some.
where, you know, um, I know I can think of a few generally where I wasn't there and you were having a come apart
Mhm.
because you couldn't reach me or whatever it was.
Yeah.
And there's that goes back to the healthy relationship that
Mhm.
you should have together is okay, you know, establishing the support system, not uh, to supersede your marriage, but to support your marriage, to
To have
support your
people you can
family.
reach out to when,
Exactly. And if you
he has
don't,
his support
that's something to
system.
establish. Yeah.
Yeah, and I need my own support system to reach out to, when I just need help or I need to talk something through or I need to have a moment and just get frustrated and let some emotions out, and I think I've said this before on here, it doesn't get easier to say goodbye. Like I've had people that have, said, "Oh, you must, enjoy the, having the time apart." And I'm like, Not really. He's my best friend. We really enjoy spending time together.
We do.
Uh,
Yeah.
I'm the one that's if he's got time off, we're not planning to do things with a lot of other people. We're planning to do stuff with each other and with our
Yeah.
family. Like we like hanging out together. We like,
All of us
spending
do. Yeah.
yeah, we just and genuinely enjoy being together as a family.
Hmm.
And, so saying goodbye cuz 9 times out of 10, I'm the one dropping him off at the airport to head over to whatever he needs to go and do unless he's flying directly from his, location in Georgia, um, on a mission. Uh, then he takes himself down there and parks his car and all of that. But, if he's going overseas, I'm the one taking him to the airport and dropping him off, and it does not get easier saying goodbye. I'm still a mess and tears, and I tried to fight him back this last one that you went on, and it just was not. I mean, I think if both of us still like we're
Yeah.
tearing up because it doesn't it does not get easier
No, it
being
doesn't.
apart. I am a very strong and capable person of handling all the things, and I'm probably
Hmm.
gonna have to there's things I'm gonna have to still figure out when you go on your next trip and how to handle whatever happens and but I can still brainstorm those ideas and what I need to do. I mean, heck, I took care of the chicken coop while you were gone too, because the shavings didn't get changed before you left. So I went out there, I
Yeah.
found the
I forgot about that part.
wheelbarrow, I found your
Yeah.
gloves. I did not find the bug spray, so I did get eaten alive while doing
Oh,
that.
yeah.
But I scooped out the chick because the chick, I mean, it was just gross.
It
It
was
was
it was
time.
bad.
It was
Yeah,
bad.
it was
So
bad.
I shoveled out the coop and then we had shavings already, so I just put out the new shavings and I mean it took me,
And they're loving that.
oh yeah, I'm sure they loved it. They were watching me from the they're
Hmm.
like, "What are you doing?" Their little heads.
We have psycho
Um
chickens along with psycho dog.
yes, we do. We have I mean, we live in the middle of a downtown area and we have chickens, we have dogs, we have cats.
Rural downtown. Sounds not like
Rural
we're,
downtown. We were in a
in the
small
city.
town. We're in small
Yeah.
town Tennessee, people.
Small town
Um
America.
yeah.
It's a great place to
So
live.
yes. So, I mean, listen, if we ever have the opportunity to like move to acreage, I would definitely, move to acreage and have like, more space for the kids to play and more animals, although that gets really expensive. So, but yeah. Um yeah, so I mean, I've learned how to handle the things that need to be handled and what I can't figure out, I still go to him and have him walk me through it. And if he's not available, my parents are just down the road. So I can reach out to my dad and be like, I need help, which is what I did when that fire happened with the chicken coop when he was gone. And dad
Yep.
came in the rain and it had only damaged the chicken coop door. So the firefighters took off the door so it could, chill out and not doing, set anymore, spark anymore, or anything. Um, and
And
dad came and helped me rebuild the door that night.
this brings us to, the and we've talked about planning,
Hmm.
and this is a big part of the communication aspect. Um, but these conversations, and in the fire service, we talk about pre-planning. And one of the main reasons we pre-plan in the fire service is so that in the event of an emergency, in the event of a fire, of a commercial structure or whatnot, we already know the entries, the exits, the occupation, or the occupancy.
Hmm.
We know all those details, where the electrical shutoff is, the gas, all that stuff.
Yeah.
And it's the same thing with relationship and this job. If you're not pre-planning, if you don't have the discussions and the knowledge of, okay, hey, we have cats and dogs and chickens and kids that have schedules and things that need to be done, and if we don't talk about how do we manage these things together but separately,
Hmm.
how do we manage these things, the what ifs, when I can't reach you,
Yeah.
or what do I do when I can't reach you about said emergency or this
Yeah.
situation. If you're
Yeah.
not having those conversations, and granted, you may not know that the conversation about something needs to happen sometimes until something happens.
Yeah. Till you're in
So
the middle of it.
yeah, so have some grace there, but at the same time, if you have kids, if you have pets, if you have a house, whether you rent it or own it, there are things that can happen. Oh, the water heater went
Murphy's
out.
Law.
Oh, we don't have AC and it's 100 degrees outside.
Yep.
Um, or
That was
the
also
water
us.
pipes froze. Yeah. So,
Murphy's Law, it always seems to hit when you're going on a trip or
yeah,
you have to be gone for a
I'll,
few days.
I'll never forget. And I don't remember it as much as my mom does, but it always seems that we would get the really bad thunderstorms during the summer when my dad was gone.
Uh-huh.
Like they just always seem to be bad, which I love thunderstorms, so it wasn't really any skin off my nose. Um, but I'll never forget when he would go away for like a 2 week trip because he was a music teacher during the school year, but during the summer he would operate
Charter
these
buses.
executive charter buses,
Yeah.
and he would take groups up to Canada, and he'd be up there for a couple weeks, Canada, Maine, that kind of stuff. Um, so we had a thunderstorm, and I mean it was a pretty rip roaring thunderstorm. I was probably, I don't know, 6, 8 years old, whatever it was. Well, my sister and I, we were all piled up in my parents' bedroom with my mom, and lightning struck the house. It struck outside the house, and it also the lightning fried the portable phone, which had the telescoping antenna.
Mhm.
It was that long ago. It's when you had the rotary phones too.
Yeah.
Um, uh, kind of old.
Yeah.
um, and that happened, and it's like, so it's all those things of, okay, now we're out of power because the lightning fried. Well, we were renting. I don't even know what happened after that. I just
Mhm.
remember that whole experience. But it always seems like, the emergencies happen when the person that would be really great to be there and be home to help with that is not there.
Yeah.
So, and that may just be our perspective, where it's like, oh, this seems much worse than it is, like if they were home.
Mhm.
But going back to, have those conversations. You need to play out the what ifs, not to become a worrywart, or just, a total negative Nancy or whatever. But you
Right.
need to, if you're not planning for those what ifs, then
You're planning to fail.
we're all alive. We all, if you have a heartbeat, things are going to happen in life that you're not
Yep.
going to fully expect. Um, but you can do your best to try to plan for the big things and the small things,
Mhm.
to where, okay, yeah, this sucks. I'm stressed, but I know to do this.
Yeah.
Um, and okay, I can't reach him, I can't reach her, but I know to do this.
Mhm.
Um, so, and that's something that you're working on when it comes to uh, answering a lot of the questions of what do I do, who do I call, where do I go. um,
Yeah, because I didn't have a plan when you had your heart attack when you were on overseas. I didn't have a plan. I was like, well, that wasn't supposed to happen. I don't think we ever played out a scenario like that where you had a medical emergency overseas. We thought long enough to have I had my passport.
Passport, yep.
I mean, but that was it. It
Yeah,
wasn't to where we had any other plan in place for if something happened to you medically while you were
yeah,
deployed. And I looking back, it would have been great to have, more of a plan in place. I think that kind of opened our eyes that we needed to have more of a plan in place, especially for those emergency situations. Um, to make it, I mean, I didn't even know. I ended up, I called my parents to let them know because my dad's a doctor. So I'm like, I don't know what to do. Um, and of course, I'm calling my parents and they're not answering their phone right away because it's on, sleep mode, do not disturb, whatever. No favorite phone numbers could get through at that point. So I'm calling my sister, and I mean, we're talking 5 a.m. in the morning at this point, and she's like, "What is going on? Why am I getting a phone call?" I'm like, "I can't get a hold of mom and dad. Anthony's having a heart attack. I don't know what to do." So my sister's calling. She's like, "You call this one. You call dad. I'll call mom, or you call yeah." So, and I mean, we just kept calling until one of them finally picked up
Somebody
and
answered. Yeah.
somebody answered. So, and it was one of those like, okay, so my parents realized that they needed to have they needed a favorite phone number, so even if their phones were on, sleep or do not disturb, those favorited phone numbers were still going to get through. Um so, there were things that we didn't plan for that we realized we needed to plan for. And but the other thing of this, the other flip side of this is that there are times where things are going to go just smoothly, and that's okay too. Like, it's not always that something chaotic is going to happen when your first responder is working or on shift. There are times where things are just going to be uneventful while they're gone. And that's a good thing. That's something to be, thankful for and celebrated, that, you made it through another shift
Yep.
without anything crazy happening. Um and we've
Well,
had those happen.
did you did you mention my car accident too? Both of
Uh,
them.
oh yeah, two car
I've had
accidents
two car accidents, both on the way to
on
work.
the way to work. Both
Yeah,
on the way to work.
one I
In the
hydroplaned and
rain.
flipped my car, and yeah, both of them in the rain.
Both in the rain.
And the other one, a lady ran a red light, and you know, so it's and that one
Case in
actually
point, have put dash cams in your car. They're super helpful. Wish we had one for
very
that second.
yeah yeah,
We learned our lesson.
but yeah, it's guys, it's life. Things are gonna happen,
Yeah, life
especially
happens.
because I think we're at a higher there's a higher risk to things happening when we are in the throes of our career,
Mm-hmm.
and I don't think it's coincidence at all. I think it's just because we're in the field that we are, and we're planning for the emergencies at work, but we're not planning. we're we have a tendency to isolate. Okay, that's just where the emergencies are going to be. It's going
Mm-hmm.
to be at work. It's not going to be at home. It's
Yeah.
not going to be with my wife. It's not going to be with my husband or my kids, or extended family. And so we protect our home, and in that, or by that I mean, in our mind's eye, we're like, okay, I'm going to make sure that this kind of emergency doesn't happen,
Mm-hmm.
that I deal with at work, and that's not a realistic expectation.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I think we need to, yeah, we see a lot of things in our job that we never ever ever want anything remotely close to that to ever take place in our home, or
Mm-hmm.
to our to our family. Um, but the reality is, we are exposed in certain manners to the rest of the world.
Mm-hmm.
Um, we drive cars.
Yep.
We go out walk or hike, or we do things. We live.
Yep.
Um, so there's inherent risk with going out. There's inherent risk with being at home and
Mm-hmm.
operating a chainsaw or lawnmower, or the 2-year-old gets a hold of the dish soap. Or it's all kinds of stuff. It's like life happens,
Mm-hmm.
and it's how we react, how we plan for it, if as much as we can, but it's also how we react to those things happening.
Yeah. And
So
and it's also learning how to still maintain your calm in the midst of whatever chaos is going on. And I remember, like, with your heart attack, I was calling people left and right, but I didn't have my freak out moment till I called my friend Heather, and she wasn't I called her, she didn't answer. She called me back and she was like, "Is everything okay?" And I just was like in tears, like, at that point, because I had made so many phone calls letting everybody that I needed to know. And then I'm like, I don't know what to do now. Like, I don't know what's next. How am I going to get over there? Like, I had no
Yep.
idea what was next. He had gone into the cath lab at that point. I was waiting to hear. Like, I had no idea. Like,
Yeah.
and I just had my meltdown moment. And it's okay to have your meltdown moment, but you also still need to be able to try and be, remain the calm, because you getting all, bent out of shape or just emotional, and just having, have your moment, but also come back and realize, okay, now I still have to figure out what needs to come next,
Hmm.
because my partner's not available to help at this, especially if he's on a call or something. I still need to come back and try and logically figure this out. But still recognize that it's okay to have your moment and have
Yep.
your emotional breakdown, but calling them while you're having your emotional breakdown is not going to help the situation.
Hmm.
And that was one of the things I had to learn, was that um if I called him and he didn't answer early on, I would start freaking out, just because I didn't know what was going on. At that point
You
in
would
his,
go to what? Okay, what's wrong? Why can't
okay,
I reach
what's
him?
wrong? Why can't I reach him? I should be able to reach him all the time. Well, that's not going to be the case. Unfortunately, it's not going to be the case with your first responder. You're not going to be able to reach them all the time. Um, and
That's another conversation to have.
that's another yeah, it's definitely another conversation to have, because you're, while you're dealing with whatever you're dealing with at home, they're dealing with whatever call they've just been called on, and they cannot do both, helping you deal with what's going on at home and dealing with whatever call is going on. Um, I can't remember what trip it was, but I distinctly remember um you were going on some trip, and you were going on some call, and I was just having a really, really, really hard time, which you had to like have a come to Jesus moment with me, and you were like, I need you to get it together, because I need to focus on what I'm doing instead of
I
you
Yeah.
having your meltdown right now.
Yep.
And
I
that,
don't
and
remember which call it was, but I do remember saying that.
I
Yeah.
don't remember either. I just remember, and it kind of shook me a little bit. Like, and at first I was like really upset with the fact that you weren't, you weren't were helping me with whatever was going on, but you had to start preparing and focusing for what you were about to do.
Hmm.
And me calling or whatever it was that I was doing was not helping to
Yeah.
get you into the mentality to go face what you were just about to face in whatever call you were going on. So I had to learn early on what to bring to you and what could wait to be brought to you. Not that we
Yep.
keep secrets from each other, because we don't. I accept Christmas presents, and obviously HIPAA. I can't know about everything that he does.
PHI, protected health information.
Yeah, I can't know about everything that he does. I can't know patient names. I can't know medical history. I can't know everything that goes on. I mean, obviously, if I see it in the news, I can be like, "Oh, was that you at that call?" And he can tell me yes or no, and the news tells whatever. But I mean, there's certain things that I can't know. But beyond that, we don't have any secrets. But I'm not going. It's we tell each other everything, but there's a time to tell each other everything, and the time when he's about to go on a flight or in the middle of a call is not the time to spill everything out that's been going on at home and what you're struggling with to deal with. And it's not a competition. I think we said this before in our last um, podcast. It isn't a competition. We used to bring it and make it a competition,
Yeah.
about
Yeah, we did.
who had the worst day or whatever, and it's not. It's equally hard. It's hard on him to not be home. It's hard on me to not have him home. It's hard on him to have to focus on the job and do his job, and knowing that he wants to be able to help and focus on what's going on at home, and he can't do both at the same time. It's hard, and it doesn't need to be a competition. um and we had to learn how to, I needed to learn what I could bring to him at what specific moment, and what needed to just be tabled and wait to have a conversation when he got back. And that's okay. That's not withholding information or anything. Because
It's
you
just
have to
it's
have,
hitting the pause button.
yeah, it's hitting the
And
pause
some
button, and
and
knowing that you
sometimes
have to have
it's
those conversations down the road.
and sometimes yeah. And sometimes it's like, well, I'm just going to handle it. I'm going to make the best decision that I can
Mhm.
with what with the information I have and the capabilities I have, and then we'll deal with the aftermath when he gets home.
Mhm.
And you've done that too. It's like,
Yep.
I'm going to make a judgment call here, and we'll go from there. And that involves, trust, involves
Right.
knowing,
But
okay,
I
this
mean,
is how he would handle this, or
right. Just like
there's
he's
things
not.
you've had to fix. That's
Yeah.
like, okay, yeah, I wouldn't have done it that way, but you know what? She did it to the best of her knowledge, and that's
Yep.
and that's okay.
Yeah. I mean, and just like you're not going to be running your play by play of your day at work or your flight or anything by me, I'm not going to be able to run the play by play of what happens every single day. And again, that's not withholding information. It's just we're living life and he's, doing his job and I'm here with the kids, doing things or at work and everything. And I can fill him in on what happened, but I'm not going to rehash every single conversation that was had, unless it's something that's really important that we need to have a conversation about and discuss. But
Now, and there have been moments, albeit few, but there have been times to where um, I actually did come home early. There's one deployment in particular where I did come home uh, a few days early
mhm,
because of things that were happening at home. And
yep,
so, from the first responder standpoint, family comes first.
yeah. Or you've
And
taken
so,
off days. You've been have supposed to
yep,
be on call, and you've like there is stuff going on home. I'm putting in PTO. I am really
yeah.
sorry, but
So
I have to take care of family right now.
yeah. And so for the first responder, you need to advocate for your family.
Mhm.
That one deployment where I did come home early because there were some things at home that were going on that I needed to be there for.
Yeah.
And it wasn't like, oh, there's a special event. No, there was a serious situation that was escalating, and I needed to be there to be um, an assistant to Dana and help deal with the situation that was escalating at home,
And
because of
and
how important it was and how complex it was. And
right.
then
And
there's,
fortunately you were with you're with a company that understands that. I mean, not
yes,
everybody is, unfortunately. And so, you know, you have to have those conversations with your company too. Like you need to have those conversations with your fire company, with your EMS company. You need to have those conversations with the people above you to be like, "Hey, in the event of a family emergency, how do you what does company policy say about this? Are you going to let me, obviously if I'm in the middle of the call, I'm not going to run out on the middle of a call. He can't leave a flight when he's in the middle of the air and something's going on at home, emergency's going on at home. Obviously, there's extenuating circumstances, but you need to have those conversations to know where your company stands when it comes to family emergencies that you need to handle. And I mean, I think you were being asked also to, extend. A lot of times, you go out on a deployment with a specific end date, and that end date comes and goes.
yep, it
Um,
does. Uh,
I think we've been there about half the time.
yeah,
About half your trips have been
for
trips
sure.
where we thought you were coming home uh on a specific date, and nope, not happening. So,
Yeah, and
um,
I think to the whole thing with the communication with your employer, it's also, if you are running home for every single little thing,
yes,
and then an emergency happens, your
yes,
employer's gonna be like, dude, you've gone home early like the
right,
last 4 or 5 times.
right,
How is this now a real emergency? So don't wear out your welcome. Don't take
yeah,
advantage of your employer's, goodwill to help you, to support you in that, because that's when things hit the fan, and they're like, because now they're just going to question your motives,
yes,
like,
yeah,
well, do you even really want to be here?
hmm,
So um and as Dana said, I do I work for a really great company.
hmm,
I thoroughly enjoy the people that I get to work with. fully respect and appreciate my my administration, my leadership. They have our best interest at heart,
Mhm.
which is not the norm. As sad that as it is to say,
But
for many places.
because they have your best interest at heart, they also know that you guys are gonna get the job done too. So
Correct.
it's this equal
Yeah.
balance of trust, of that they're taking care of you as their employee because they know you're going to successfully get the job done that they're asking you to do.
Yep.
And I mean, I mean, he works for a company that does things that no one else will go in and do. And so, and that can be scary sometimes, I'll be honest. It can be scary and nerve-wracking, especially when there's a lot of unknowns involved, and there typically are a lot of unknowns involved. So, they know that if they don't take care of you guys, you're not going to be willing to go and do the things that they are asking you to do, or that you're being asked to do. And so, and we've been in those situations where you weren't taken care of as an employee, and it was really hard to have the gumption to want to do the job
Hmm.
because you weren't the leadership was just not great. And unfortunately, that is the case with a lot of different,
Yeah.
companies out there, that they just don't take care of their people that are doing the job. um, so I mean, we encourage you to have those conversations. Have those conversations with your spouse. Have those conversations, you know, with your company about, what are your expectations here? If I have a family emergency, obviously, if I'm, middle of fighting a fire, I'm not going to drop the hose and go run and take care of my family. I'm going to do the job, but I also need to know that, because I'm doing the job, you have my back.
Yeah, and that's a huge deal. And I will say there are there are companies that are part of corporations,
Hmm.
um, that the corporate policies do not permit certain things, but uh, the leadership that is
The
more in
leadership and
direct,
people understand.
yeah, the leadership that's more in direct supervision of you, they do understand and they will advocate for you.
Hmm.
I've been in those situations too, where it's like, I worked for a major health system, and the health system probably wouldn't have sent me home early or whatever to go deal with something, or even like I distinctly remember coming in, and I was pretty sick,
Hmm.
and we were short staffed, and my charge nurse said, she's like, "You look horrible." I'm like, "I feel horrible." She's like, "Go home." She's like, "We got this."
Hmm.
And that's not a lot of health systems. A lot of health
Nope.
systems be like, "All right, well, put a mask on, pony up, let's get this done."
Yep.
We're in this together, and
Yeah.
it's that kind of I understand there are those situations where it's like we just got to get it done, but when you have somebody that you work alongside, that advocates for you, the team member, um, because there's a distinction between a team member and an employee.
Hmm.
A team member is somebody that has a relationship with the people that you work with. An employee is somebody that clocks in and clocks out.
Yeah.
There is a distinction there, so that's why I say team member. But if you're an employee, you're just a number. You're just a warm body filling a seat, on the aircraft, in the ambulance, on the rig. You may want to look at, because when things hit the fan, are they going to support you? Are they going to
Hmm.
support your family? Um, and the smaller companies can be good, or they can be really bad. I've heard of situations where it was like a super toxic environment, but you have to evaluate that.
Yeah.
And all of this is in the name of, how do we do this job and provide and support our family, support
Hmm.
our spouse. Um, but you've got to have those conversations. You got to have that information so you can make a judgment call.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, going back to, if you are the first responder, don't be checking in every 10, 15 minutes at home. Be like, is everything okay? Is everything? You can't
Yeah.
do that.
Nope.
you have to
You gotta
focus on your
and
job.
that's where the trust comes in. You have to trust your partner, your spouse to be able to handle things.
Yep.
And we're coming from 20 years of experience here in that, it we did not do that in the beginning. It was
Oh yeah.
really hard in the beginning. 24 hour 12 hours was 12 hours by myself. I mean, I look back on those days and I'm like, I complained about having to solo parent for 12 hours by myself or 24 hours by myself, and look at where I am right now. I solo parent for weeks at a time. Now, granted,
Yeah.
my kids are not babies. I'm not significantly sleep deprived. I mean, I still have a 7-year-old who, wakes me up in the middle of the night from time to time. She also does not like to leave mommy alone when daddy's not home. Um, she claims she's sleeping on her cot in our room, because mommy doesn't need to sleep alone. That's what she told me the last time he was gone.
She's
She's
so
like, "No,
funny.
I don't want you to be alone. You can't sleep alone." I was like, "Okay, but you could go sleep in your bed, in your room." "No, but you can't sleep alone." I was like, "Okay, but it's okay for everybody else who is in this house to sleep alone. You can't sleep alone, mommy." I was like, "Okay." So, I really think it's her, though, that doesn't want to
It
you know
is.
I
It
think it's
totally
her.
is.
I think it's her.
Yeah.
But it's
That's
where
so
that
funny.
level of trust comes. I look back on those days and I'm like, "How did I complain about that?" Because now I'm doing it weeks at a time, and I would have never I mean, if you had asked me, when you started this, that we would be where we are now, where you would be deployed on a, fairly regular basis, although we got lucky this past year that there was a year in between both deployments. Um, so I'm very thankful for that because that could change at a moment's notice. So, it's one of those, looking back, I'm like, I can't believe I complained about just a silly 12-hour shift of parenting by myself and how hard it was. It's still hard when he's not here to have to handle all the things on my own, and be the adult in the room to make all the decisions and, praying that I'm making the best decisions. But I'm also really proud of how far we've come in this career field. So if you're sitting there, going, "Oh my gosh, I can't believe I can't do this 12 hours by myself, with these kids," or, having to figure out work and transportation and getting everybody to all the places, like this is really hard. Just know that you're not going to be there forever. It is a season, and you're going to look back on those and be like, wow, look at what I did. Look at how I survived that, and look at where I am now, because those days, those hard days that I went through, prepared me to do this now. And it's not, I mean, it's still not easy. Like I said, saying goodbye when he has to go for weeks at a time is hard. It's hard on the kids. It's hard on me. It's hard on him. And I have it the first day that when he's flying to wherever he's going, I'm usually a puddle of tears and cry at the drop of a hat. But then the next day, I put on my big girl pants and I do what I need to do because he's got to do what he needs to do. Um, and that's the important thing. But recognize that, where you are is not where you're going to be, down the road in this career field. You're going to look back and you're going to be like, oh my gosh. There are times I look back and I'm like, I miss those days where it was just 24 hours or, you know, 48
Those are
hours.
the
Like
days.
those are the days. Like now it's hard. It's a different kind of hard. Again, we
Hmm.
have all the technology to help us and connect with each other, but I mean, it's a different kind of hard, but I'm proud of those days that I was able to, even in the midst of how hard it was, I can look back and see how those hard times prepared me to get me through these, hard times. And so, you've got to, look at how far you've come and recognize how far you still are going. Um, because where you're at is not where you're going to be, 5, 10 years from now. You're going to
Yeah.
look back and see where you're at and you'll be like, that was I thought that was hard. That was
Yeah.
easy.
Yeah. Life is it's gonna ebb and flow. It's gonna change. There's gonna be differences as you go. The career changes. Uh, I started out working in the hospital as an ER tech. So if you are the spouse of an EMT or even a paramedic, maybe they're on a ground truck and they do want to fly,
Mhm.
or maybe they want to go to nursing school. Maybe maybe they want to get out of the career field altogether. There's a lot of variations that as you progress in life, that you're going to encounter those changes, and it's learning how to ebb and flow with those changes, and react appropriately.
Yeah.
And but it's throughout those, especially the earlier years, of realizing, and hindsight's always 2020,
It is.
of looking back and be like, man, why did we do it that way, or why did I react that way?
Mhm.
A lot of it's maturity.
Yep.
Another aspect of it is lack of experience.
Yep.
We didn't know what we didn't know.
Yeah. Oh,
um,
100%.
and the other part to this is also, just your worldview and your belief system.
Yep.
And upbringing can play a factor in this. So there's a lot of different factors that play into we um, how we deal with the changes and the demands. um, but getting back to the, the whole goal with this particular episode is, communicate, communicate, communicate,
Yeah,
but don't over communicate in the moment, in the essence of, they have a job to do, I have
they
a job
do.
to do.
Yeah.
And likewise, your spouse at home has a job to do.
Yeah.
If you're constantly barraging them with, "Oh, guess what call I ran," and all this, they don't need that stuff.
No.
Don't lump that on them. Let
Nope.
them take care of the home front. They don't distract them with the glitz and the glamour, or the gruesome things. They don't need to know that.
You
You
could share that
you
after.
you can
When you get home. Get
you can
when you get
share that
off
after,
shift.
but even if it's appropriate. I mean, if
Yeah.
it's
Right.
there, and I'm gonna speak to my first responder colleagues in the sense of, there's stuff that we see and we experience on shift that they do not need to experience with you.
Mhm.
Let me say that again. There are things that you're going to experience and you're going to see and you're going to hear that they do not need to be a part of. I'm not saying to not say that you had a difficult call and you need to talk about that to an extent. What I'm saying is, you know, don't tell them about the suicide that you ran. Don't tell them about, the pediatric abuse case that you
Yeah,
just
don't give them all the
experienced.
details. I
don't
mean, you
don't
can
give them
tell
all the
them it's a
all
hard.
the nitty gritty details, in the
Right.
sense of, oh, I stepped in brain matter, or all the,
They don't need to share in
that is
that the
those are
emotion of it
exactly,
necessarily. Yeah.
those are clickbait, gruesome details that it is part of our job that, unfortunately, we have to we have to see, um, and we have to experience, and those are things that we also need to take responsibility in dealing with,
Mhm.
because, as my best buddy Daniel Mills talks about, we keep on filling that trash can with those bad calls and those
Yeah.
memories, and if we don't empty that trash can, it's going to overflow into every other aspect of our life.
Mhm. It's going to
So
explode.
yeah, so you need to deal with those things, but do not unload those gruesome, gritty details on your spouse, on your family. That's not the place for it.
No.
That is not the place for it. So,
No.
um, there is a healthy way to unload that, and we have talked about that on here with, getting counseling, peer support. There's a lot of constructive ways to go over that, so you can
Mhm.
continue doing the job to the best of your ability, but don't bring that stuff home, guys.
Yeah.
That's not fair to them. Again, share the experiences that are, permissible,
Mhm.
but
And vice versa, me sitting here at home, I need to share the experiences that I'm having at home with the kids, but do it in a way that brings you joy, not do it in a way that, puts you down for the fact that you're not around. Like, I don't ever want to be, that person that's like, trying to make you feel bad for going and doing your job because you missed out on something. You know, share what went on with the kids
Yep.
that day, or something funny,
Oh,
with
absolutely.
milestone that they hit or whatever. But don't do it in a way that is making your first responder feel guilty for not being there because they have a
Mm,
job to do.
yeah.
And I know, and I've been there. I did that. I've done that before. I'm not saying this because I'm high and mighty and, and better than everybody else. I'm saying this because I've done that before, because I was
Mm,
upset and I was hurt that he wasn't there. And that's just not healthy.
yeah.
You have to build and maintain a healthy relationship in the midst of this career field, because you're going to see they're going to experience a lot of unhealthy things and unnatural things going on in their career field, that you need to be that healthy environment for them to come home to, and not do it to where you're making them feel guilty for going to work when they were supposed to go to work, or picking up an extra shift to bring in some extra cash or whatever. Like, you need to make sure that you're sharing the excitement and joys of what happened, but not in a way that's going to make them feel guilty because they were at work and they missed it. Because I've done
Yeah.
that before, and it led to not a good place for us.
Yep. Yeah.
So
Yeah. So be communicative. Do that pre-planning with
yeah,
the situations that could arise. Like I said, if you have pets, you have kids, you
something's going to
have
happen.
maybe you have an aging relative.
Yeah,
These are things that
you
you got
need
to
to
talk
talk
about.
about.
Got to
Yeah,
talk
you
about.
can't just have a expect to have a plan for
Yeah. If
at the moment
if
that it
the
happens.
if something's going on with the car, or, talk
Hmm.
about that stuff before they get on shift, because when they're on shift is unless it's absolutely necessary, that's not the time to be like, hey, by the way.
Yeah.
Um so but yeah, I think that's something that has, as we've said, we wish we had done better earlier on, but
Hmm.
20 years into this, and there's a lot of things that we've learned, and we're still
Yeah.
learning.
Yeah.
We're still, we don't
We're
have
not
this
perfect at it.
figured out.
No,
It's no, it's not a
we still
perfect
make
thing.
mistakes.
We do
We're
100%.
human. We're human.
But these are the things that we want to share with you to hopefully help you along in making, uh,
Solid
allowing you to
choices and
making
solid.
solid choices, yeah, and allowing you to thrive in this career field and be there for your family.
Yeah. And
So that's
ultimately, it's the goal of the podcast is to be able to respond to things together.
yep, yeah. So, but yeah, we've got more episodes that we're gonna be pushing out. We've
Every
actually got
Thursday.
one every Thursday. We've got one. It's actually going to be kind of um,
We're going to start
a
interviewing people, y'all.
we
I'm
are
so excited.
we have an episode that we're going to post. It's actually one that we did. Was it last year that we did?
I think so. I think it was last year that we
Yeah.
did.
So it'd be a throwback
It's going to be a throwback
episode
episode, but
with
not for it's a throwback from a Motivated Medic podcast episode,
yep,
not a Responding Together
yeah,
podcast episode. So I'm excited about that.
yeah, it'd be good. But
We
until
want to we
then,
want to bring you shared experiences,
yeah,
not just
absolutely.
our experiences, but we want to bring you other shared experiences for what's worked with other first responder families, and hopefully, build a community here to
We're
where
also we're gonna be interviewing a military couple, friends of ours. That
Mhm.
um,
We've got a
there's a lot of
list. We
there's
got
a
a
lot of
list.
things on the horizon. So
We're very
um,
excited about it.
we're glad that you're listening. If
Yeah.
you haven't, please like, subscribe to the podcast. Check out our Instagram and our Facebook stuff. We post.
We're getting better at posting, y'all. Like, we're new to this. So don't hold it. No, don't hold a
Yep.
candle under us. We're new to all of this.
And for
So
those that have listened all the way through to this hour plus long podcast, we're starting to get some swag, some stickers and stuff like that. So if you'd like
be
one
on
of
the
those,
lookout.
just reach out. We will have that available.
Yeah.
Well, I guess until next time, this is Responding
Responding
Together.
together.
Thanks for listening. If today's episode encouraged you, we'd love for you to follow the podcast, leave us a review, and share this episode with another first responder family. Then come join the conversation on Facebook and Instagram by searching Responding Together Podcast. For more information, you can email respondingtogetherpodcast@gmail.com.